Good afternoon, Patriot pals. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. Elon Musk took to Twitter earlier today to talk about the impact of the booster that he took recently and how he felt it, how it made him feel and what it caused to happen in his cousin. Very disturbing stuff here. And of course we know that this is happening a lot of places, and it's very disappointing that Trump continues to advocate for talking about being safe and secure. That was a call it now safe and good. I don't know because I haven't taken it. But he continues to go out there and he promotes this every chance he gets, and when people give him an out on it, he just doubles down on, and it's quite disappointing that he continues to do that, because there's been millions of people that has been impacted by it. And here Elon Musk is one of those millions that have been impacted by it. He has a family member that has been impacted by it. So let's kind of dive into what we have here. And it says Elon Musk admits I felt like I was dying after he took the booster. The second booster of the shot, and his cousin had a serious case of VI, myocarditis. Yeah, very scary stuff. Right? Elon Musk admitted on Twitter that he felt like he was dying after he took the second dose. Elon also admitted to his junk cuss and because it had myocarditis following the shot and was taken to the hospital. Elon posted it in his Twitter. In response to Scott Adams, how do we interpret this? There was a tweet that he had posted in here with Elon. He says I had major side effects from my second booster, felt like I was dying for several days, hopefully no permanent advantage damage. But I don't know. And my cousin, who is young in peak health, had a serious case of myocarditis, had to go to the hospital. Yeah. So this is impacting. This is like the world's richest man here talking about how he even impacted him. And here we have, we still have politicians, we still have media, sitting here, doubling down on everything. And not wanting to attribute that there has been major side effects. And there's even doctors and medical personnel, even probably, that that are in your life that are telling, it's safe and effective, or whatever it's called. And they're in there forcing young people to take care, forcing kids to take in, they're forcing people that are in good health to take it still. And we still have people that are unwilling to budge off of that. And I believe that there's a reason why there are some conservatives out there that will not slam it because they feel guilty for taking it. They feel guilty because they were duped into doing it. So again, just sad stuff out there happening. I pray for these people. I hope they don't have serious injuries. I hope that they can recover. Hope that there isn't a long-lasting issue in their lives. Elon Musk, for example, says I hope there's no long-term effects on my body. Because of this, I guarantee he probably will not take another booster after the way it made him feel. And hopefully his cousin won't have permanent damage either, and will no longer take any more. So we'll continue to monitor this situation and continue to highlight how some of this stuff is still taking place around the world and here in the United States. And as more and more politicians and media continue to tell you that you need to continue to boost up, so let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And some significant news: House Oversight Republicans seek answers from the Department of Homeland Security over claims that Biden's border visit was sanitized. Republicans on the House Oversight Committee are looking for answers from DHS over allegations that Biden's recent visit to El Paso, Texas, was sanitized with migrants cleared away before his first visit to the occupied southern border this month. Quotes for weeks: large encampments of homeless illegal border crossers released by the Biden administration having camped on the streets of El Paso. The letter to DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas from the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer said it continues these encampments were cleared immediately prior to Biden's visit to the city on January 8, 2023. We have a right to understand the circumstances surrounding the role DHS played in clearing homeless illegal border crossers ahead of the visit to El Paso. Biden's visit to El Paso happened earlier this month, meeting with elected officials and community leaders and taking a walk along parts of the southern border barrier just days after announcing a number of border measures to deal with the ongoing crisis. But Customs and Border Protection sources state that the Central Processing Center, which was previously completely overwhelmed with immigrants, is no longer at capacity and the camps of migrants have vanished. El Paso is being cleared up as if nothing unusual ever happened there. The National Border Patrol Council tweeted ahead of the visit just in time for Biden's visit to the border. Sources shared that the clearing was primarily to address the large groups of mostly Venezuelan migrants who crossed into the United States without turning themselves into the Border Patrol out of fear that Title 42 rules would get them expelled. Since the migrants could not get into shelters, they set up camps, and the crime rate increased, with many Venezuelans getting arrested for breaking into cars. Community members complained, according to CBP sources, and Border Patrol agents started making arrests. Biden's visit also coincided with a sharp drop in migrant encounters. The El Paso sector saw an average of 2.1 thousand daily migrant encounters in mid-December, but by the beginning of January, interestingly enough, that number dropped below 1,000 per day. It's something the White House noted when responding to claims that Biden had seen a sanitized version of the border. El Paso border encounters did go down significantly prior to the president's visit, by about 70%. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said on January 11, quote, "That's a good thing that we've seen the numbers go down. It has helped ease pressure all across the community." But the president's visit had nothing to do with it. A Clinton-appointed judge finds Trump liable for $1 million for filing a revenge lawsuit against Hillary Clinton. A federal judge in Florida has sanctioned President Donald Trump and his attorney, Alina Habba, ordering them to pay fines of nearly $1 million for filing what he deemed to be a frivolous lawsuit, claiming that Hillary Clinton and others involved in the Russia investigation unlawfully conspired to damage Trump's reputation. The opinion from Judge Donald in Middlebrooks calls Trump, quote, "a prolific and sophisticated litigant who was repeatedly using the courts to seek revenge on political adversaries." Trump sued Clinton, his 2016 presidential challenger, for allegedly coercing top FBI leadership to invent what became known as the Russia investigation into interference with American matters. Trump had argued that the Russia probe was, quote, "prolonged and exasperated by the presence of a small faction of Clinton loyalists who were well positioned within the Department of Justice." Judge Middlebrooks dismissed the lawsuit this past September. Middlebrooks sanctions issued late Thursday ordered Haley and Trump to pay $938,000 to 18 defendants in the case, citing, quote, "a continuing pattern of misuse of the courts by Mr. Trump and his lawyers undermines the rule of law, portrays judges as partisans, and diverts resources from those who have suffered actual legal harm." Middlebrooks wrote in his opinion, and the judge also cautioned Trump's attorneys that they could face sanctions over their separate lawsuit targeting New York Attorney General Letitia James, who in September filed for a $250 million suit against Trump and his family members for allegedly defrauding lenders and others with false and misleading financial statements. Less than half of Biden 2020 voters want him to run again in 2024. Biden is failing to garner 2024 support from even half of those who supported him in the 2020 presidential election. A survey from The Economist/YouGov found the survey asked respondents, quote, "Do you want Joe Biden to run for president again in 2024?" Across the board, a small majority at 51% said no, Biden should not run for president again in the next election cycle. Just 28% said that he should, and another 21% remain unsure. Predictably, opinions vary along party lines. Nearly three-quarters of Republicans do not believe Biden should run again, a sentiment shared by 56% of independents and over a quarter of Democrats. Less than half of all Democrats want him to run again. But the figure is even worse among those who voted for Biden in the 2020 election. Biden even fails to garner majority support among both liberals and moderates, as just 43% of liberals said he should run again, while 52% of moderates said you should not. No formal timeline has been offered for Biden's presidential announcement, but the 80-year-old has voiced his intention to run again in 2024. Special interests intervene in South Dakota, an attempt to slow Nome's proposal restricting Chinese land purchases. A coalition of special interests and industry representatives has emerged to try to stop South Dakota Republican Governor Kristi Noem from passing a measure that would restrict the ability of the Chinese Communist Party or other foreign entities to purchase land in her state. Noem's proposal, introduced last month ahead of this year's legislative session, would create a state-level version of the Federal Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. Noem's vision is to create a board that can review and then block any foreign entity's proposal to purchase land in South Dakota. The measure has support in both the state House and state Senate and is likely to be considered this legislative session, as the measure has gained support given the wide scale. popularity of any push to block China from buying American farmland. Her idea has taken off nationwide as other governors in other states consider similar measures. Texas GOP Governor Greg Abbott, for instance, has said he would sign a similar idea into law after a lawmaker in the state House introduced a proposal to that same effect. However, in South Dakota, special interest groups are racing to slow Noem's rollout in South Dakota, with a myriad of special interests expressing concerns of her proposed legislation. An email sent by Brenda Foreman of the South Dakota Association of Cooperatives to the Noem's legal team in mid-January noted that, quote, agricultural groups have reviewed and updated versions of the bill and are, quote, deeply concerned about the legality and constitutionality of the proposal. Quote, we remain interested in identifying what is not working with our current law enforcement ads without providing any specifics about any legal or constitutional concerns these groups or organizations have. Biden's classified documents were sent to another D.C. location before they were transferred to the Penn Biden Center. The long and winding document trail that leads classified documents from Joe Biden's vice presidential office to the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement in Washington, D.C. And now, back in the hands of the government, there is yet another stop: a temporary facility in the nation's capital. A source told reporters the documents were removed in the summer of 2017. After spending about 6 months at a government transition office near the White House once Biden left the vice presidency, the space in D.C.'s Chinatown neighborhood was overseen by the Penn Biden Center while its prized location near the Capitol was being readied. The office had its formal opening in 2018, attended by Biden. Quote, everything was just moved en masse to temporary space, then moved to Penn Biden. The informant stated people involved in the process include Biden's former staff members, General Services Administration personnel, and staff at the think tank, an entity that would later have roles for senior aides that remain in Biden's orbit, including now Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who served as the managing director of the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement. Thanks for joining us on today's episode of Open Source News. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing.